Wow. It's really almost been a year since I made a scripted video like this. Now, if y'all are new here to this channel, then hi, I'm Retro. And to people who's been keeping up with this channel, you would know that I play Dead by Daylight a lot, both on my stream and in my spare time. I have almost 1,000 hours on the game, and before that I played Dead by Daylight Mobile before moving to PC and the Nintendo Switch, because, well, the mobile version was shutting down. That being said, to people asking, what is Dead by Daylight? Well, Dead by Daylight is an asymmetrical 1v4 survival horror game. There are two roles, survivors and killers. Survivor is where you have to team up with 3 other people and complete 5 generators, and, well, survive the killer. And escape by either opening the exit gate when you complete all the generators, or escaping through the hatch when all your teammates are dead or escaped through the exit gate. Keep in mind that the killer can close the hatch when it spawns. Then there is the killer, where you have to, well, kill. How to complete this objective is that you have to find survivors, down them, pick them up, and then carry to the hook. They each have 3 hook stages. One is where they have a chance to get off themselves. The second is where they have to struggle and have someone help them get it off. Third is where they die and are sacrificed. Or you have the option to kill them yourselves through offerings. There are a lot of other things that you have to learn to do, because this game is a lot more complicated than what I said. Survivors and killers can bring items, offerings, and add-ons, and consider giant perks that change up the gameplay, and survivors have to preserve resources and be aware of their surroundings. Now that I've told you about the fundamentals and the quick summary of what the game is about, let's talk about a brief history of Dead by Daylight. Now, Dead by Daylight is 9 years old and turns 10 next year. Now, back in the day when it was made, Dead by Daylight was made by an indie studio, Behavior. Now, before Behavior was a big studio, they struggled to make games and had made games for other companies, and Dead by Daylight was just a side project. Keep in mind that they didn't predict that Dead by Daylight would be as big as it is nowadays. They just wanted to make a quick game and be able to make money and just barely make it to the weekend. The game was a lot simpler back then. I mean, it was buggy at times. It wasn't really balanced, but again, they didn't really think that DVD would be this big. Dead by Daylight had a lot more atmosphere back then. The style was less realistic, and it was known more for its artistic side. It had a dark, gritty atmosphere and somewhat dampened, decaying feel to it. Now, keep in mind, the game was definitely flawed and had its share of bugs. But it was a lot more fun and simpler back then. But people didn't really have eyes on this game, and it would have probably died off. That was until Behavior decided to bring an infamous license to the game, the Halloween chapter. It included the killer Michael Myers and survivor Laurie Strode, and had him field as a map. This for sure put Dead by Daylight on the radar and caught people's attention. Imagine being able to see through the eyes of Michael Myers, stalking his prey, being able to sneak up on them. Again, the game was a lot darker back then, and it was a lot easier to sneak up on people. And for the most part, and even nowadays, As this game grew older, he was one of the most faithfully adapted killers to be brought in this game. This was one of the most impressive things that Behaviour ever did. Be able to adapt a license so well that they can't even replicate it with other licenses nowadays, especially because this was their first license chapter. This in itself was an amazing feat that Behaviour accomplished. And yeah, no wonder they brought people's attention. They have so many things correct about this. Myers first had to stalk you at the beginning of the match, and he becomes stronger as he stalks you. He had 3 tiers. Tier 1 grants you the undetectable and the ability to sneak up on unsuspecting survivors. Tier 2, not being able to go undetectable anymore, but it gives you bigger lunges, walk faster, and falls faster. Tier 3 gives survivors the exposed status effect. Basically, Myers can down them in one hit, but it is in a time limit where if it runs out, it sends you back to Tier 2, where you have to stalk survivors again. Now keep in mind that survivors had a stalk limit and had to preserve the stalk and have to use it when able to. With that, his add-ons also brought a lot of variety. Being able to go undetectable for the entire game, having many ways to down people faster, or speed builds, be able to stay in Tier 3 for the rest of the game, like staying in Tier 3 longer, or stalking survivors faster, or add-ons that completely broke the game, where Myers ignores the rules of the game and just being able to kill survivors on their first hook when you're in Tier 3. As broken as they were, they really made you feel like Michael Myers. Now, keep this in mind as I'm going to bring him up later. After the Halloween chapter was released, the floodgates opened to more opportunities for Behaviour. Being able to bring more licenses to the game, bring stuff like Leatherface, Ghostface, Child's Play, bring stuff other than slasher films, Stranger Things, Silent Hill being one of their first licensed horror games, Resident Evil, Dungeons & Dragons, Castlevania, Alien, an anime, and one of the most anticipated licenses to be brought to the game, Five Nights at Freddy's. The number of things that they brought to this game is amazingly impressive, thanks to this one license, bringing a lot of content to this game, like maps, killers, new builds, perks, and new variety to players, but also bringing so much content, especially so fast, and having no time to work on them properly is going to bring a lot of problems and unintended consequences. Whenever they were changing the Unreal Engine to the latest version, they had to sacrifice a lot. Firstly, the atmosphere. They changed the atmosphere from a grim and gloomy to a more realistic atmosphere. And while it looks great, yes, but it sacrificed the dark atmospheric environments that Dead by Daylight was known for back in the day. And even though it somewhat looks worse than the older version, where the maps just look ugly and just straight up blinding, yeah, like, realistic looks nice, but, like, it'll eventually just be outdated. Meanwhile, an art style is just always gonna stick, because it isn't trying to be realistic. And not to mention that I can't even run DBD normally on my PC, having to play on GeForce or playing it on my Switch. I'm sorry, but, like, having to purchase a better and higher end PC to even be able to run smoothly, like, it frustrates me. I shouldn't have to buy a $2,000 PC to play a video game, or the other option of playing a worse version of it. That's a big problem in the gaming industry itself, and I think that discussion should be discussed in a different video. And speaking of the game not being able to work, if you thought Dead by Daylight back in the day had a lot of bugs, then oh boy, buckle up, because there are hundreds, if not thousands of bugs that litter this game. Just some recent stuff to list, for example, that I found recently. One bug that I found is fog vials messing with the lighting of the maps and just making it completely blinding for like half of the map. Another bug or graphical error whenever I played the Crossu, when I regurgitate, it just splashes colors on my screen. What the fuck was that? Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that lagging is. Oh my god. I can list more bugs, and that's just 2 examples of thousands. But the last update just completely broke the game. Like, I'm sorry if I have to bring up this patch again. I have to bring up the Walking Dead patch again. How the fuck do you miss a gigantic poll on the offering screen because you only have to play 1 match to find out that bug existed? Like, how do they miss that? Seriously, how? How do they actually miss something like that? Like, it makes me wonder if they even test their own game. And there was a new item that was added to the game for survivors, the fog vials. When you use it, you essentially just make it impossible to have killers navigate their surroundings, as if there isn't enough of that. It also made you be able to make 0 noise, hiding your scratch marks, and just straight up not initiating chase. This was completely game breaking. And another bug, because of course it did, where you just weren't able to block windows. So essentially that just meant infinite windows again. And the problem with this bug, when they first introduced something like the fog vials, existed for over a year. It was first seen in the event with fog crystals, saw it again in 2v8 mode, then again in the Walking Dead PTB. Over a year to fix, and they just did nothing. It's completely game breaking. Like, seriously. Like, what's the point of having the PTB? Like, the point is to, like, test out new things and see if there's any bugs, and they just go ahead and release it anyways. Like, what? Seriously, why does it even exist? Like, at this point, why do they just release the update itself? With fog vials, it made it just severely miserable to play killer, and just felt artificial and just plain lazy, with, like, no way of countering it at all. So later, Behavior fixed this bug and nerfed fog vials by a lot. While not being as strong as they were still a strong item, making it frustrating to still go against. But that wasn't the only bug in this patch. I'm going to talk about Streetwise. Streetwise was another bug perk in this chapter, because of course it was. It just exploded on social media and was again just completely game breaking. It was bugs to where it had infinite charges on an item, and they can just complete generators as twice as fast and can end the game in seconds instead of kill switching this perk. They said that it wasn't game breaking, and if they fix this bug, they have to fix several other bugs. You know, because God forbid they have to fix the product they're selling you. It essentially took the entire community to force Behavior to kill switch this perk. A couple other ones. But let's talk about another perk that still hasn't been nerfed and it's just also just completely broken. Conviction. I don't think you have to be a game designer to know that this perk essentially can't be countered. Conviction is where you get downed and it doesn't activate until 6 seconds. And you could just go in and immediately pick yourself up and go back down in 30 seconds. You can synergize this with other perks where you go down, you can just immediately pick yourself up.
I was expecting to go down here, but... yeah? That's perfect. That's literally perfect. By the time he vaults, I'm out of the up. Yeah, I'm up. That's so stupid. Oh my god, I love it. Oh my god. I can't believe what I just witnessed.
But why can't killers just pick up and not slug and be toxic? The problem with that is stuff like pallets and flashlight saves and stunning perks exist. You simply just can't pick up with a high chance of them just getting saved by a teammate anyways. And even looking for someone near the down survivor who's looking to get saved, that down survivor could just pick themselves up whenever you're not looking. And it just makes this a lose-lose situation. And this is just a bad result of game design. There's no way to counter this. This perk still hasn't been nerfed, by the way. It just makes me wonder if behavior even listens to players, or even playtests their own game. Now, let's talk about the latest stuff with the PTB and the new patch, Sinister Grace. The whole PTB with the whole slugging and killing prevention update were just a disaster. I thought it sounded bad on paper, which like it probably would have translated better onto PTB because we didn't really know fully. But after seeing people playtest this PTB, it was as bad as it sounded. Firstly, be able to pick yourself up on an additive 90 seconds, and once that threshold hits, they essentially have Unbreakable for the rest of the trial. They also gave them base kit tenacity, so also meaning that they could just crawl to a team member and both work on a generator. Oh, man. I need to calm down. Like I said before, about someone going for a save or if someone is out of position, this is also just a lose-lose situation where they could just crawl across the map or under a pallet for a save, or they could just straight up pick themselves up. And let me just talk about the tunneling shit for a second. The tunneling prevention update puts a smoke around your character and makes it just impossible to tell if they're unhooked or not. And the UI is just lying to you to even see if they're like getting unhooked or not. So essentially you just basically have to proxy camp. Then on top of the base kit part, so let me get this straight. Then on top of the base kit borrowed time, when they unhook, they get base kit off the record, base kit babysitter, a new status effects, basically base kit Iron Will, and it just hides Killer Instinct. So just fuck any killer that uses Killer Instinct. It also wall hacks on top of that. And also, let's talk about another fucked up thing. And if you kill a survivor below 6 hooks, all of the generators are just deactivated. And you're just not able to kick generators for the rest of the trial. Do you need to tell me that if I find them out of position or being fucking stupid and running into me with their monitor off, I just simply can't kill them? And on top of that, just removing the ability to kill people and taking away any perk that blocks or damages any generators just because you killed a survivor, so just fuck Sonico, it's just an insult to the real money you paid to get these perks and characters. This, as you imagined, was very overkill and provided safety nets for newer players for making bad decisions and heavily buffs comp teams and Swifts and completely handicaps any killer B tier all over. Because most killers aren't Nurse or Blight, and they just can't go across the map or end chase in seconds. The update inadvertently nerfed lower killers. At tunneling, it's mostly a strategy that most lower tier killers have to use to simply just keep up with the game. Slugging can also have an advantage as adding pressure to 2 other people, one to chase and the other to get the person off the ground. If they can just pick themselves up, then there's just no point in slugging, because that's where the pressure's built. So, with the biggest outcry of how bad this was, Behavior delayed it and moved it to the next PD to make changes to it. Thank God, because if this were to make life, this might have actually killed the game. But keep in mind that they're only delaying these, and it's just already insanely idiotic, the fact that they came up with these changes in the first place. Now, listen, I'm fine with anti-slugging and tunneling prevention. I find it frustrating to go against these playstyles in solo queue, but they have to be brought in a healthy way, and we would have to give killers some way of compensation for it. With all of this, imagine a newer player who bought this game for like Springtrap or The Walking Dead chapter, and just try to wrap their head around this. If this was brought to the game, like, I would just straight up not play anymore. Now, let's talk about the new killer. There is also a new Myers rework that came in this patch, which I will talk more about later. The new killer, while not being as strong as Nurse or Blight, it just feels a bit overtuned. Firstly, the hitbox feels way too wide, and most of the time, you're just able to hit survivors through loops and just be able to hit survivors 7 feet ahead of you. And I haven't even played against this killer as survivor, and yet, on the killer side, she feels a bit overtuned. And not to mention that she's just now Nemesis 2.0, it is just incredibly easy to tunnel survivors. And keep in mind, the leeching infection doesn't get cancelled when hooking, making it easy for the crosssuit to just tunnel and get the survivor out of the game. Honestly, that's just really about it. Like, this killer just needs tuning down a little bit. Removing those two things, while the killer's still strong, yes, but it doesn't feel unfair to play against this killer. Now, there was another thing they did in this update that was also a bit overtuned. It's not that big. It's just that they increased the amount of pallets in Macmillan, Autohaven, Coldwind, Crotus, Penn Asylum, Haddonfield, Backwater Swamp, Red Forest, Yamaoka Estate, and Ormond and Borgo. Why the fuck did they put so much more pallets on these maps? Macmillan and Autohaven already have been monstrous with the amount of pallets on them, and like how bad the loops were. Why the fuck did they put more pallets on Crotus Penn Asylum, one of the most survivor-sided maps in the game? And now this map has just been littered with pallets being 5 feet in front of them. Only maps I agree with putting more pallets on is Haddonfield and Coldwind. That's it. People have been complaining about multiple maps that need changes, and instead of changing maps that needed it, they just put more pallets on maps that didn't really need changes, and just straight up making it miserable for the other side of the game. Well, that being said, I would like to go on the other topic that I also think needs addressed. This game is not beginner friendly. Like I said earlier, this game is a lot more complicated than it seems from the outside. This game is so much bigger through the years. There's so much to track now. You have to have good knowledge of macro, since there are so many perks that you have to look out for and counter. And there are so many killers that you have to know how to counter. And have to have a lot of experience for this game. And another thing I want to bring up is how this game isn't beginner friendly. Let's take money for example. Firstly, you have to buy the game itself for $20. Now you buy the game, log into it, start getting some hours into it, but then, oh, I don't really have anything. So you see characters that are locked, and also perks that are locked. So you know, you have to pay for them. So you buy some characters, and buying them makes you think that, oh, if I buy them, I'll be able to have their perks, right?
No.
You first have to receive that character 3 times to get full use of that perk. And if you want all of them, you have to pay even more money to unlock every killer and survivor and every perk. So you pay for all of them plus $20, 36 killers locked, 40 survivors locked, and each are $5. Can't get Pinhead, so minus $5. So your total is $375. Now, you can get some characters for free, but subtracting 18 killers and 21 survivors, because they're not licensed and they're original characters, you still have the total of $180 you're still paying for all the licensed characters, including the game you purchased. You can still get the original characters and licensed perks for free and purchase them through the iridescent shards. But the problem with that, though, is that it takes for fucking ever, and you rarely get any shards. So you either take 5 years to get every perk, if the Shrine of Secrets even gives you all the perks you need, because it only gives you 4 at a time, and all the original characters through shards, or you could just pay a shitload of money to get everything right now. And on top of that, if you want to get skins, now you can get these skins through Eerie Shards, or again, pay a shitload of money. I'm sorry if I'm gonna say this right. Why the fuck is a skin almost the same amount of money as the game you purchased? $15 for a skin or licensed one is insane. Why is it more money than the character you paid for? First, you have to pay $20 for the game, then $5 for the character, and now if you want a skin of that character, it is $15. Meanwhile, on the other hand, I could get Silksong for $20 and Deltarune for $25. Basically around the same price. Which one do you think I'm going to purchase? Guess which one? And that makes me want to ask another question. Why is this game even money? Like, why isn't this free? Like, you already have to pay hundreds of dollars to get everything. Why isn't this game free? I see this shit in things like Fortnite or Fall Guys. Why is there a price tag if you're spending so much money in this game? It feels so anti-consumer. But if you made the game free, then there will be more hackers brought into this game, and Behavior doesn't have a good anti-cheat problem. Well, yes, there is a cheating problem. That doesn't mean that cheating isn't a problem regardless if it's money or not. And not only that, cheating is a problem with fucking everything in video games. And that's another thing Behavior needs to step up and solve the problem with cheats. And yes, if you make the game free, it does increase the amount of cheaters, but it will also increase the amount of genuine players who want to play this game, but don't want to spend $20 on top of spending hundreds. And may I remind you, DBD Mobile was free. And yeah, that game had hackers, but also brought genuine people playing the game, to the point of it shutting down because of the company who made it. It was competing with another game they made. The only way to fix the cheating problem is for Behavior to actually find a solution. The problem with that is that it takes years for them to actually do something. Years. Or just forget about it entirely. And if it's a big enough of a problem, then it would have to take the entire community to even get them to do something about it. And even if they do listen to the community, they just either ignore it entirely or make changes that no one asked for, or listen and cater to the worst people of the game. And I'm going to bring that up as well. Is this the most toxic out of any video game community? No, it's not even close. But this is one of the most entitled, narcissistic ones I've ever seen. I have not seen any other community be so entitled in my life. Like, I don't even know where to begin. Most of the time, whenever I play killer, survivors just expect me to leave them alone if I spot them or they're doing gens in my face. And just call me toxic when I spot them and kill them. Mind you, These are the same types of survivors who wanted anti-slugging and tunneling preventions. Wow, who would have thought? The same type of people, when you decide to play nice and not tunnel and slug, they would just stay at the exit gate, extending the trial, wasting your time, telling you skill issue and saying that your killer is trash, GG easies. These same people that behavior for some reason wants to cater to. The same people who expect the game to favor them and have things never go wrong. And when the game immediately starts and they just go down in seconds, or just get spotted first, they just disconnect, and even though the game just started. And they are the same people who blame the other side with no knowledge of that side. The tunneling and slugging are known strategies and are vital for killers. Now, I'm not saying that this only happens on survivors, as there are also killers who do this. They only know knowledge from half of the game. Now let's picture a quick scenario. You play a match of survivor, you're the first to be spotted by the killer. You loop him, and he ends up getting 0 hooks because he was trying to down you the whole game, with all survivors making out. Now let's see all the responses that the killer can have the possibility to say. A. GG, well play, good luck with the next game. B. I'm going to take a break from DBD. C. Trash survivor. D. Or reflect on what to do the next game and learn from this one. If your answer is any of these questions, then you're wrong. The correct answer was to call you a slur in the chat and report you. And if they found out that you were a streamer, they will just harass you on stream. And sometimes just straight up dox you because they lost in a video game. There's so many people saying the most racist shit, people being sexist, homophobic, doxing people being terrible human beings in general, just all of it under the sun. This is just scratching the surface with what I've told you so far. But I will say that doesn't mean that there isn't any positive parts of the community or channels that make positive content or have discussions for the health of the game. Granted, I sometimes don't agree with everything that people say, because again, it's just an opinion. But it does feel like a breath of fresh air at times to hear someone else's opinion from time to time without getting it out of hand. Or people talking about the love and joy they have for this game. Like playing against a stealth killer, making this game feel like a horror game again. Or a match just being overall silly. Or people talking about things in the game that interest them. And people learning a certain killer that they enjoy to get fun out of. Like, I can talk about killers I made, for example. Like, I mostly play Pyramid Head, Nemesis, Michael Myers, Springtrap, and Wesker, being my top 5 I play. I mostly play them because I have the most fun with them. And I wish it isn't foreshadowed by all the toxicity. So, without getting toxic for a little bit, I guess I could just talk about all the killers I play, I guess. And finally, Michael Myers, where I don't play him as much as Pyramid Head or Nemi. The games I do have with him are one of the most fun games I have. Well, yeah, he's in the lower tiers and not the strongest, but he is one of the best adapted licensed killers in the game. Feeling like a slow but unstoppable force that will never stop hunting his prey. Michael Myers, the Boogeyman. Pushing his way through anything to get you, stalking you in large distances, and you're the only one who notices him, while no one else can. You are the only one that sees the evil. And again, making this one of the best adapted licenses in the game. Now let's see how they somehow fucked him up. Okay, I am finally addressing the elephant in the room. And you know, I think it's funny because I coincidentally watched John Carpenter's Halloween this morning. And, you know, I'm watching Halloween movies every day because, well, it's a spooky month. But, you know, when I was watching it, I noticed that Myers he always feels so slow, and he never really, goes faster to catch up to Laurie, does he? Oh, Michael. Oh, what have they done to you? So in the latest patch, they reworked the shape.
This is not
Myers.
It may look like him, hell, sometimes it even acts like him, but this enemy at a fundamental level is not
Myers. Every aspect that I praised behavior in the beginning of this video, from best, made some really great changes that they made to Myers, and to worse, just makes him feel weaker than he originally was and completely ruins this character for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to compare him from what he was originally in the beginning of the video, then I'm going to compare him to the reworked version to see things that were improved from the original version and what they heavily butchered. First, let's talk about his power. Instead of 3 tiers, it replaces it with 3 modes and turns Myers into a stance killer. Tier 1 is now called Stalker Mode, where he is still undetectable, where he can still stalk survivors, and I think his movement speed is the same across the tiers or modes now. His lunge is thankfully no longer a baby lunge compared to Tier 1 Myers version. I do love the fact that he doesn't have a stock limit anymore, meaning you don't have to worry about losing your power anymore, and you can stalk without worrying about it running out. Now, getting into the range limit of stalking the survivors is when I have a problem. Firstly, a couple months ago, they buffed Myers' range to 40 meters when he can stalk survivors almost months ago, and a lot of people, including myself, loved these changes. Being able to stalk at longer distances and spotting survivors far away always felt rewarding. Then they just decided to nerf the range significantly. Why? I don't know. Fuck you. Why the fuck did they just buff his stalk range to 40 only to nerf it back to 32 meters in the rework? All honestly, I don't think he should even have a stalk limit of how far he can stalk survivors. If I spot someone across the map repairing a generator, I should be rewarded for it, not punished. Like, imagine if a huntress had a limited range of how far she could throw her hatchet, and behavior change to only be able to throw it if they're around your areas. It sounds stupid. Like, again, you should be rewarded for spotting them across the map, not punished. Another problem is that whenever you are stalking the survivors, it gives them a sound cue and tells them that I'm stalking them. Behavior found this as a problem as it actually made Myers weaker when making him back in the day. They removed it for a reason. So they just decided to give it back to Myers, allowing any survivors to know that I'm stalking them. Guess what? That was just Stalker Mode. Tier 2 is now called Pursuer Mode. You can switch between this mode and Stalker Mode. I do genuinely love this change as it integrates his stealth more of the match and not just in the beginning of the trial. Being able to switch between them is genuinely a great change. Now into the bullshit. He's no longer undetectable in this mode. They changed his terror radius from 16 in Tier 2 to now 24 meters in this mode. It increases his movement speed, increases lunge, vault, break, and stun recovery. Behavior said that they buffed and increased these speeds from Stalker to Pursuer. No, they didn't. They just blatantly lied to you because they didn't buff anything. Because Myers already had these while in Tier 2. They're just downright lying to my face when they said that they increased the speed, meanwhile he already had them before the rework. So yeah, they just straight up lied about it. But do you have any incentive to go into Pursuer Mode?
No.
The problem with Pursuer Mode is that I don't have enough incentive to even go in Pursuer Mode. The only time I'm even in Pursuer Mode is when I'm done filling up the stock meter, or when I'm need to catch up or go across the map to a survivor. Because most of the time, I'm just in stalker mode, because it gives me better advantages. And that's another problem when I'm stalking in stalker mode. It goes into the stock meter that I fill up. When I fill it up, it immediately puts me in pursuer mode. And I could just never go back in stalker when the bar is filled up, which I already don't like. I already don't have the incentive to even go into pursuer mode, and I can't even go back to stalker, so what's the solution? Well, what if I 99 the meter without it filling up, allowing me to keep my stalker mode? It just downright drains half of it, so I can't even do that. So that begs the question, what happens whenever I do activate the new mode, essentially? Well, it is basically Tier 3. Tier 3 is now called Evil Incarnate Mode. Whenever I fill up the stock meter, it makes a sound cue for all survivors, and this is also a big problem. Back with old Myers, survivors didn't know which stage Myers was back then, nor did they know if you were stalking them. That's what made Myers scary. Not knowing what stage he was in allowed him to ambush survivors and beat up their ass in Tier 3, making the survivor realize that, oh, I'm fucked, giving you and the survivor an adrenaline rush. I want to be afraid of Myers, not want to give several fucking warnings. So, when you do pop Evil Incarnate, it locks you in the most hideous animation I have ever seen. And it makes you locked in this animation, which means you can't pop the power directly behind the survivors anymore. Not only that, it no longer flips your knife up when popping it. It was so cool. Why did they change that? It turning up the thing, it was a cool animation. Why did they change that? And now, you still do actions and speeds faster, but your terror radius is now 40 meters wide. That's the same size terror radius as Wesker's. It makes sense on Wesker because he's a dash killer and is able to go across the map with it. So you can't ambush survivors unless you have help with add-ons or perks. And it reduces the time from 60 seconds to 40 seconds. Why is it so short? Not only that, but you can just no longer down survivors when you hit them. It no longer gives survivors the exposed status effect. Instead, you get a new ability when in this mode. Slaughtering Strike. In Evil Incarnate mode, hold down the power button to charge Slaughtering Strike, and press the attack button to unleash it. The longer the button is held, the more distance on the attack. Survivors hit by Slaughtering Strike are down to even it healthily. So yeah, they just made Myers into a dash killer. Myers isn't a dash killer, he's a lunge killer. And to that I say, behavior has officially gaslighted you into thinking that he's a lunge killer than a dash one. Hell, Pig has more of a lunge than Myers with her ambush. At least she's able to control where she's going most of the time. Whenever you release it, you're just stuck going into a straight line, not being able to fucking control where you're going, aka a fucking dash. A dash is not being able to control where you're going, only being able to go forward. It is called a dash. They made Myers into a dash killer, completely taking away his identity as Myers. Again, Myers is a slow and unstoppable force. You never see him once book it towards Laurie in the original movie. With any other killer, you never felt like playing against that actual character other than Myers or Ghostface. So whenever you decide to use Slaughtering Strike, it holds you in this awful lunge line where I'm not able to control the character, and overall it doesn't feel great to use at all. And I only find myself using it most of the time only to down people, or they just make it to a pallet. So when you do use this, when you either miss or down a survivor or break a pallet, it So let me get this straight. First, I have to stalk the survivors, which takes time. It gives them a warning when I'm stalking them, then another warning when the stalk meter is full. then puts me in the most disgusting animation I have ever seen. Then when I charge my slaughtering strike, it makes a knife sound cue to warn the survivors when I'm charging my ability, which means they can just time it and hit me on the fucking head, and I can't even break the goddamn pallet. And while charging it, it gives the survivors plenty of time to either vault a window or make it to a pallet, or they could just easily dodge it, considering that it's very easy to dodge the dash. Where the ability ends, it slows you down and puts the ability on a fucking cooldown whenever you're on a fucking time limit. So not only you're wasting time stalking, it puts you on a slow animation when going into Evil Incarnate mode. When you want to use the ability, it puts you on another slow animation, but whenever you use it, it puts you on a fucking cooldown against the time limit that is 40 seconds. It gives survivors so much time to counter Myers, down to being able to stun him. If you're playing against even a remotely competent team, at best, you'll be able to get rid of, like, some of their resources. At worst, they'll just be able to stun you every single time, wasting your time. You'll just have to pray that they make enough mistakes and be able to get down. It especially feels bad whenever you're not using perks other than generator perks, which they nerfed, to even be able to win the match. And even then, removing most of their resources, they still have a shitload of pallets that they can just use thanks to the pallet density, quality of life pallet update. It completely ruined Myers for me, to the point where when the first time I played the reworked Myers, I literally broke down into tears, having to take a break from DBD for a week. Why don't I show you a full clip of what my first impressions of this rework was to me? Oh, why is that cooldown so... Why is there a cooldown on my... What? Oh, what the fuck? Oh, that's weird. Oh, I don't like it. Oh, I really don't like it. What the fuck? Oh, what the fuck? Ew! What the fuck is this? Ew! Oh! Oh, what the fuck is that? Oh! Oh my god, this is bad. God, this is fucking bad. Oh my god. Why is it... Ew! Ew, I fucking hate it. I hate it. I hate it so fucking much. Ew. I hate it. What the fuck? I hate this. I hate this. I hate everything about this. Yeah, that's right. I don't, man. I really don't like, I really fucking don't like it. I hate it. I fucking hate this. I hate this, dude. I don't like this at all, dude. It's still fucking... Why doesn't his knife go... Go up. You're fucking kidding me. They fucking did it. They killed him. They killed him. They killed Michael Myers. Dude, I feel like I'm gonna cry. Nah, man, I'm done. I'm done, dude. I'm ending the stream. I'm done for the fucking day.
I think we did a pretty good job so far.
Do you know what coincidentally happened after I ended my stream that day? An hour later, a release date was announced for the Halloween game and gameplay for it. I found that very funny. I just got handed the worst versions of Myers that they completely butchered, and this trailer just drops out of nowhere.
I think we did a pretty good job so far.
Now, I'm going to talk about his add-ons now because this video is already long as it is. So, back before his rework, you had so much variety, being able to kill survivors, stay in Tier 3 forever, increase the duration of Tier 3, making your terror radius smaller, being undetectable for the whole trial, increasing the amount of stock you gain, and with the rework, it has single-handedly killed almost every unique way to play this killer, with barely just 5 add-ons making him not feel unbearable. One add-on, Fragrant Tuft of Hair, making you think that, oh, this is old Myers. Well, actually, no. It still has the disgusting animation, the terror radius is still 40 meters, which means hold shift by daylight, and Evil Incarnate mode still lasts only 40 seconds. Compared to the old Myers lasting 60 seconds, until going back to Tier 2. While they kept Scratch Mirror, I do like that they gave him a longer lunge. It's still pretty weak, especially if you're playing on an outdoor map. Also, why did they change it into an eerie add-on? It's already weak to begin with. Like, you think they would, like, knock it down a peg to, like, a green or maybe brown add-on? But why did they put it as an eerie add-on? I think the Hairbrush add-on is actually one of the better ones for me, as it's pretty good, allowing me to break pallets faster when I first enter Evil Incarnate mode. And they just completely ruined Jewelry Box and decreased the stock range to 60 meters, so fuck you, I guess. And Vanity Mirror, while exiting Evil Incarnate mode, you're able to see nearby survivors for 6 seconds. And Lock of Hair, they completely killed off being able to stay longer in Tier 3. Now it just allows you to cancel your Evil Incarnate mode and keep up half of your stock. A Reflective Fragment allows you to gain 20 seconds of Evil Incarnate every time you hit a survivor with Sliding Strike. But it doesn't down them. Myers Memorial allows you to pick up survivors faster while in Evil Incarnate mode. That's nice, I guess. Hairbow allows you to have 60 seconds of Evil Incarnate mode. Essentially how much his Tier 3 lasted back then. Then 2 add-ons I do generally have fun with are Tombstone Piece and Judas Tombstone. Tombstone Piece granting you undetectable for 20 seconds, allowing you to sneak up on survivors, and Judas Tombstone, while hugging a survivor during Evil Incarnate mode, it refreshes its duration, but keeping it to 40 seconds. And for the rest of the add-ons, I feel like they have no significant difference whenever I use them, or are just completely, utterly garbage. At best, it makes pretty good changes to Myers, but at worst, it just completely ruins his identity as Myers, adding stuff that was never present in the movie, and just completely bombing almost all of his add-ons, except a few that feels like it's a significantly weaker version of Myers. The only thing to salvage from this rework is to get rid of all the warnings the survivors get rid of the horrible animation that takes time, and get rid of the Slaughtering Strike cooldown. Buff most of the weaker add-ons, and give us just old Vanity Mirror, Lock of Hair, and Jewelry Box back. And at this point, just get rid of the stock meter limit. People should be able to spot survivors across the map without getting punished. And that just begs me another question. Why did they even give Myers a rework to begin with? The only thing me and other people were asking was like buffs for Myers, so he wasn't left behind. But instead of appealing to people that put lots of hours in this killer, they completely rework of how this killer works and throws out all the things you learned from the older version, and rendering the information and time you spent on this killer completely useless. Rather than changing things that people have been asking to be changed for ages, they rather change things that no one wanted while completely ignoring what you even asked. Behavior, most of the time, doesn't feel like they just don't care anymore. Granted, they do make good quality of life changes and make good balancing changes for the game, but instead of bringing things to the game people were asking for, they make changes that no one asked for and cater to the worst people in this community. Or they just cherry pick what people want to change and dictate what they do and don't. And when they do work on something, it takes them years when they have to bring quality of life, things people have been asking for. And even if they do bring those quality of life changes, they just somehow break the game more than it already is. They completely disregard and disrespect the amount of money and time you put into this game and characters. And with the amount of game-breaking bugs, perks, killers, so much stuff needing to change, and they just don't. And again, it makes me wonder if they even play this game. I know I've been overly negative in this video, but honestly, I feel like these things need to be addressed. And I feel like I need to be overly negative because I do genuinely love this game. The reason I made this video was because of the breaking point of all the shit happening in the Walking Dead patch and the tunneling and slugging prevention update. And what made me want to make this video the most was the Myers rework, changing one of the best killers that I genuinely love and what has gotten me into this game. There are so many problems with this game, and I'm afraid that if it goes on any longer, this game will probably die out. And people will stop playing it because they genuinely don't have fun with it anymore. People right now genuinely don't have fun playing it right now. And I think that's a shame. If you want to keep playing this game and see this game thrive, then keep giving behavior feedback. It stopped them from giving us the tunneling and slugging prevention and forced them to take more time. Again, with enough discourse, they will take the time with these patches. So far we haven't found any game-breaking bugs in this patch. So again, keep telling them to take more time and keep giving them feedback. So, funny thing is, that video, I'm gonna spoil a little bit. In that video, I go into a whole half of the video of in depth about, and that's the reason why I made the video for the Myers rework. And I get a notification for the new patch for what patch is it? 9.23, where they essentially I don't know, just buffing Myers. And I go into depth and rip into the Myers rework of how it's just not in character, and how much of this just feels bad. So some of the stuff in that video is gonna feel a little outdated. Behavior listens sometimes, at least. Because they do listen. They do listen. We just need to keep giving them feedback, and that was a point I made in that video. Instead of rushing everything out, Behavior says that they're planning to make the game more healthy. Well, I need to see that change. They can't just say that they're going to make the game healthy and give the game health updates and good quality of life updates or patches and expect me to applaud. I need Behavior to act on them. Then, only then, I'll praise them. That, or they just go back to rushing chapters and making the game miserable to play. But As one of the creators once said,
killers aren't feared anymore. Do you have any plans or ideas how you would like to improve the killer experience? Well, I would say maybe try Survivor for a bit. No, but it's true. I mean, change it up. Maybe you're just tired, you know, or play something else for a week. Try Civilization or something, just for a refreshing change. Balance is. I shouldn't be saying that. Should I be saying that?
to anyone who's still watching this video, I can't thank you enough for watching this to the end. It would mean a lot to me if you subscribe to this channel. It helps me a lot, and if you can share this to more people in the DBD community, that way we can make behavior accountable and actually make great changes to this game. And hopefully behavior listens. Please, if you're still listening to this video, I would genuinely love to listen to your suggestions of what you would make to this game in the comments, and as making comments to this video will help boost this video a lot more. And to you, behavior, if they're even listening, please give me back my boy.